title for my sermon this morning. It's something like, if it's good enough for Thomas and Theresa, then it's good enough for you. I'll let you work that out as I go on. If it's good enough for Thomas and Theresa, then it's good enough for you. So last Sunday, we left church on Easter morning full of joy and happiness, clutching our Easter egg in our hand, if we hadn't had it over coffee. And we were all very excited because he is risen. We come back to church this week, and I suspect, in my brain, I always expect the hard stuff to be over. We've done Lent, we've done Passiontide, we've done Holy Week, we've seen the resurrection, we've celebrated the empty tomb. But actually, this morning's story isn't that easy, and perhaps it makes us feel a little uncomfortable. After Jesus has appeared to Mary in the garden, he goes to the room where the rest of the disciples are holed up and hidden. They're scared. The writer of John's Gospel doesn't tell us whether Mary had got to them yet at that point, but I'm guessing she had. And even so, they're still scared. Jesus appears in a locked room, and they can see the wounds in his hands and his side. And he says, "Peace be with you." And they believe. But one of them is missing. Well, two of them are missing, of course, because Judas is missing too. But Thomas is missing. Not there when Jesus came back. Thomas arrives later, and all the other disciples tell him about Jesus, all excited, no doubt. "You're never going to believe this, Thomas." And guess what? He doesn't. He says, "Unless I see it for myself, unless I can touch his wounds, then I won't believe." Have you ever wondered how Thomas might have felt right then? Did he think they were playing a joke on him? Were they in on something? What was going on in Thomas's mind for those 8 days? 8 days later, he's there again and he's with them. He still hasn't seen Jesus. And all of a sudden, the same thing happens. Jesus turns up in this locked room, and he tells Thomas to put his hands on his, to feel the wounds from the nails. And he does, and he believes. Do you believe because you have seen me? Blessed are those who do not see yet believe. I've always felt bad for Thomas. Thomas was asked to do something that none of the other disciples were asked to do. He had to believe without seeing Jesus. And I think any of the other disciples in that locked room would have had the same struggle. And yet, for 2,000 years, we've called him Doubting Thomas. We use it as a phrase. "Oh, she's a doubting Thomas, isn't she?" Because he didn't see Jesus. And he had to believe it without seeing it. I'm sure it would have been the same if it was Peter, if it was John, if it was James. I would hate to be remembered throughout history for my greatest moment of doubt. I've had many of them, let's be honest, we all have. Doubting David. All of us can be quite similar. The thing I really love about this story, and this is a highlight for me, the story of Thomas and Jesus in the upper room, is because I can relate to it. Because I understand what it means to live between faith and doubt. We're given with this story to believe that faith and doubt are opposites, but it's not really true. Actually, faith and apathy are opposites. Doubt, for me, is a key part of the journey of faith. It's a stop along the way that most of us make more than once, sometimes more than once a day. And when we find ourselves doubting, it's not an indication of us being bad Christians or disbelievers. It's a sign that we're taking our relationship with God serious, that we're letting ourselves be honest, letting ourselves start a journey without necessarily knowing where we're going. A great theologian once said that doubt is the ants in the pants of faith. It's what makes you itch. It's what makes you ask the questions, the difficult questions. Because only when you doubt do you take a step in faith. Doubting Thomas is known to millions in the subcontinent as St. Thomas. Christian tradition holds he set sail for India. He was the first to spread the Christian gospel there. In the end, his doubt, his desire to know Jesus for himself, those ants in the pants of faith, brought him to greater faith. And that faith gave him strength to bring the Christian gospel to a continent. And if you go to India today, St. Thomas is the one who didn't just doubt, but who believed, who helped others. I want to stay in India for a bit. There was a woman in her 30s. She one day had an overwhelming spiritual experience, and she knew God was present, and she felt God call her to do something new, something scary and something hard. And she did. She was called by God to be a missionary nun. And she spent 50 years as a missionary nun, mostly in a place called Calcutta. Inside, she doubted. She wrestled with her faith. She had what some Christian writers have called a dark night of the soul, but she had one every day. There were days in her diaries, if you read them, where she questioned the existence of God. Her lack of faith bothered her. But we don't call her Doubting Theresa. We call her Saint Theresa, or Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Mother Teresa moved from doubt to faith every day. And sometimes the doubt overtook her. She was like me and like you and like Thomas. Teresa is a saint. Do you think St. Teresa is a saint because, despite her doubts, because I don't. I think she's a saint because of her doubts. I think it was her doubts that led her to greater faith. One of my favourite Christian speakers, Jeff, who I've read many books and heard him speak, and is absolutely fantastic, told a story once that stopped me in my tracks. And he was on his way to a big Christian festival. And he pulled the car over at the side of the road at a handy place to stop. I'm sure it was safe. And he said, he looked into the rearview mirror, and he said, what if none of this is true? What if everything I've devoted my life to isn't true? It's okay to have doubts, because doubt leads us on in faith. We all doubt. All of us who see faith as a journey. Our faith gets shaken and we question it. We wonder why Jesus doesn't appear to us when everybody else seems to have seen him, just like Thomas. We might even feel a bit of ashamed of our doubt. I'm sure Thomas did in those 8 days. Why couldn't he just accept what the others said? Why did he have to see it for himself? I wonder if the next week he thought about not going back. He wasn't one of them anymore because he hadn't seen Jesus. He was the doubter. But he did. Because he loved Jesus so much that he needed to hear them talk about him again, even if he wasn't convinced it was true. Maybe he went back because it was easier being on his own. Maybe he went back because he thought maybe, just maybe, Jesus would come again. For whatever reason, Thomas went back to that community in his hour of greatest doubt and greatest need, just like we come every week. And Jesus showed up, just like he does here. Doubt can be the thing that propels us into faith. It can shake us up. It can push us out the doors of once comfortable places into new and better worlds. Doubt can be the ticket that starts the journey to new life. Doubt is not the sign of the absence of God. Doubt is a sign of God at work, doing something new. Faith and doubt are actually two sides of the very same coin. Doubt is indeed the ants in the pants of faith. Your doubt is fine, but step out in faith because of it. Doubt as much as you need to, and leave enough room for the faith that God will show you the right step. Because after all, if it's good enough for Thomas and it's good enough for Theresa, then I'm fairly sure it's good enough for you and for me.